You can always work for money. You always make more money, lose money, and then make more money again. But once you have a health condition, you can't really pay to get your health back. And if you do it, it's kind of like a cycle where you're just paying and paying medical bills. It's one of those things that a lot of us take for granted and don't think about it until it hits us. So we just can't pay for our health.
Some experts chase attention, but the smart ones build authority. You're listening to the Authority on Demand podcast, where credibility becomes your competitive advantage. Every week, we're pulling back the curtain on how founders and leaders turn expertise into inbound demand through books that position, media that converse, and strategies that actually move the needle. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authority on Demand. Now, let's turn your authority into leverage. Okay, everybody. So I want to ask you a question, and I want to really think about your answer. If somebody offered you $1 billion, but in exchange, you unfortunately, again, can never control your life or sleep comfortably, would you take it? Most of us would say no, and we understand intellectually that health is more valuable than money. But we don't live life like we believe it. We sacrifice our health for our careers. We take our mobility for granted. We complain about small discomforts while everything else is pretty much normal. But our guest today has taken life for granted tenfold, and his name is Nolan Kashat, and he has lived with generalized dystonia since he was 5. And this is something that means he has a lot of struggles, but he's written a book here called Still Here, and it teaches us about not giving up, but about showing up. Not about limitation, but about liberation through mindset transformation. So this episode is going to be a very powerful one, a very moving one. So stay tuned and get ready for an amazing episode. Nolan, thank you so much for joining us on today's podcast.
Thank you, Danielle.
Of
I'm going
course.
to be intro.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you too, and quite an honor as well. I read through your material, and I think it's a very inspirational story. So I'm looking forward to learning more about you. So, hey, real quick before we jump back in, if you're loving what we're doing here, hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. We're bringing you the best authors, the most real conversations, and all the writing wisdom that you didn't know you needed. So stick around because it only gets better from here. All right, now let's get back to the conversation. Let's start talking about yourself for a little bit. I understand, of course, you had a pretty challenging upbringing, but what exactly was it that led you to decide, I need to write this down, I need to write a book? Was there a catalyst in your life?
There was many actually. So to start off with, I had been told all throughout high school by teachers and other peers like to write a book. They all said like that you gone through all these struggles, all these life challenges, and you work and you overcome a lot. I want to create a book. I was doing that. So it was only a few years ago. I want to say like 2021 or 20 or maybe even 2020, maybe even 2022. I was in a Tony Robbins event. I made a post sharing a little bit about myself, and the response was just unbelievable. The response was just like so many comments of people that were impacted by what they saw and what they heard. So many people that want to know more, and they saw me as an inspiration, and that's what really got me to finally say yes and go ahead and continue with actually reading the book.
Of course. Yeah. So it's clear that, people really were inspired from you all growing up. And it's wonderful that you've been able to finally put it out on the page. I'm sure it wasn't an easy task. But one thing I love is actually a quote that I started with in this episode today. The quote, if I were given a choice between $1 billion or health, I would choose health in a heartbeat. And I think that is so powerful because everybody listening today, especially busy entrepreneurs or whatever it might be, they're chasing money. But I think this is an important thing for people to understand about, life can't be taken for granted. So would you like to speak a little bit about that and, What do you want people to take away who really need to understand this trade-off?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, growing up, I mean, my family has like a decent amount of money, whatever. And but me not having my house, it just has just impacted their lives in a way that they've never imagined. And not only my life, but my whole family life. So basically, this is how I think about it is that you can always work for money, you always make more money, lose money, and then make more money again. But once you have a health condition or any kind of health problem, you can't really you can't really pay to get your health back. And if you do, it's kind of like a cycle where you're just paying and paying, paying medical bills piling up, and it's one of those things that a lot of us take for granted, and don't think about it until it hits us. But yeah, like you just like we we simply just can't pay for our health, and that's something that money kind of comes and goes. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people don't seem to understand that. People, are always on a wild chase, always trying to be the next big thing. But, what you said is, money does come and go. You could always make more money, but what you can't is enjoy the moment that you're living in right now. It's the best of your ability, which is, I guess, why in your book you encourage people to make a daily gratitude list of
Mhm.
5 new items every day. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, you mentioned it's 1,800 blessings in a year, which is really cool to think about.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, you rate 5 blessings, you rate 5 things that you're grateful for today, and it makes you feel even more grateful for what you have in the moment. I've done this. I haven't done it for a whole year, but I had done like this, and I have to even for me personally, it's helped me become more grateful. Like the one the one that stands out for me a lot is is being able to feel. I have some people I know that are quadriplegic and they can't feel. So when I think about that, it just makes me feel grateful for what I have, even though even though I had times where it was so nice to not be able to feel all the muscle spasms. It's still really nice to be able to feel and be able to touch and have the sensations that I have.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's just so powerful to have because also, I mean, at least in my opinion, if you're making that list of every 5 items to be gratitude for, you can always look back at it years down the
Mhm.
road. And that's just an amazing way to feel empowered and be grateful of everything. So that's just incredible. um,
Yeah.
so moving forward with a little bit about your story, you also talked a little bit about at this time when you did the Tony Robbins challenge, which is something really cool that not a lot of people have, you know, taken moving forward. So can you chat a little bit about that with us? I mean, you said that's really what gave you the courage to write this book. So can you tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about that?
That's why I mentioned it really briefly earlier, but it's basically he had a challenge of like about 1 million people and they were in the challenge. I'm gonna post sharing about myself, and the post just blew up. I didn't think about it. I didn't think anything of it the night before, and then the morning after, I got like 5,000 comments, and I was just like, wow, like what happened? And I look over and I see people commenting like, like your inspiration, your story touched me, your whatever, just like just people feeling really impacted. but I should, and they want to know more about, they want to know more about me. So so I wanted to, so that's what, like you said, it gave me the green light to say, like, I have to get this book out and done now, like as soon as possible. And so that's what I did. I got to work. I started. Yeah, I said, okay, this is it. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I like that. And I see how that kind of reflects what you were talking about earlier on with what led you to writing the book. But I think it's
Mhm.
really unique because not a lot of people have, taken part in that challenge. That's just incredible. Um, but moving forward about, the actual writing process, then now that we're talking a bit about the writing process itself, what was your, daily routine for writing it down? Was it mainly dictation? Was it typing? Did you have like a really solid outline first? What was that process like for you?
Yeah. So the process for me was so I hired a ghostwriter at first. And so we did like a 5 hour interview, and from that interview, he got down my words on paper, and that was about maybe 50% completed. But obviously 50% is not, it's half the book. Sorry, you have to go back and fix up half of it, add, change, remove, which one, which one. So I do all that, and I spent a lot of hours working on this book. So I have good days and I have bad days. So on good days I would try my best to do as much as I can. Like I would try for like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of just editing and rewriting things. But then on bad days I can't do any work at all. So it's kind of like I have to take advantage of the days that that I'm feeling good, so I can try and get this done as soon as possible. Um, yeah, so it was definitely a challenge, but nonetheless, I got it done. So I'm glad, I'm happy that I was able to have that completed.
Right. So many people, get started on writing a book and then something makes them fall off. It's either too hard or it's taking too long. They don't know what to do. But for you, you really stuck at it and you tried different methods to see what would work the best. I mean, going from a ghostwriter to spending time on yourself. And of course, there's also a revising process. So,
Hmm.
it goes to show that any author out there, if they're debating on, can I write a book? Should I? I mean, you're a perfect example. Why not? Why not just put your best foot forward and try your hardest regardless of what that might take. So
Yeah,
really great. Now let's
right.
chat a little bit about that title, Still Here. I mean, it's so powerful. What does that title mean to you?
Yeah. So to me, it means that I'm still here. I didn't give up. I'm still fighting. I'm still going through life. I'm living I'm living life, you know. I'm still here. I'm I haven't given up.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. I see exactly what you mean there. And no matter what you've been through, things life is still moving and you're living and you're doing everything you can to be grateful every single day and showing others the importance of doing so. Now, that being said, I know it was quite, a process of getting this book out there, but what have you thought about for the future? Have you decided maybe writing another book or anything along those lines?
From the future, I plan on doing some coaching and some speaking engagements. A book, I'm not sure yet. Let's see about that one. That was a that was a that was a challenge that I feel like I completed, and I need to move on and do something different now. I don't know. I have to see about that one. But definitely, but definitely coaching and speaking engagements for sure.
Understood. Yeah, I love that. I think that it's so important that you get out there and really people could put a face to your name. If they love the book and they're inspired by your story, well, getting out there and speaking in front of people, it's a way to really continue that motivation. That's so important. And I recommend that to any author listening. Why not get out there and share your story and really meet your audience? It's a great method.
Yeah.
um, yeah, and so one other thing I wanted to mention, which is really cool about your book, and to everybody listening today, if you feel like maybe you're inspired by the story, but you want, to find a way to really drive this into something actionable for yourself, well, Nolan, you included a questions to consider part of your book, which is really awesome. It makes it more interactive. So tell us, why did you choose to include this workbook element, and what do you hope people gain from that?
Yeah, because I thought that having some questions put into there will give the reader something to reflect on, and them having to answer those questions would also impact. It would be more powerful to answer the questions than to just simply read the book.
Understood. Yeah, no, exactly. And I think a lot of authors miss that. I think a lot of people think they could just write their book and people will read your book and they'll remember it after the fact. But to really make sure people remember it and hold on to the book and want to learn more, well, give them something to do, give them questions to ask or something
Exactly.
that's really clever. So I'm curious to know if you happen to have any other bits of writing advice for the audience today, anything that, maybe you learned along the way that could benefit others or something to that regard.
Yes. So, first thing is don't quit, because there have been so many times where I felt like I wanted to throw in the towel and be like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this. So don't quit. Second thing is man, be vulnerable, but also kind of, I mean, yeah, unfortunately, sharing a book is vulnerable. In some parts of the book, because people that that's what they want to read. They don't want to read it. They don't want to read it. They don't read anything that's like that's fabricated. They want raw and real. So yeah.
Understood. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's just something we should all be implementing. And I think, that in addition to the other insights and tips that you've given us earlier in this podcast, I think we're very well equipped to not only be grateful for life in general, but also to, well, just get started writing. I really appreciate that.
Mhm.
Um, so now, if people are interested in getting connected, maybe learning more about your story or staying tuned for future speaking engagements, as you mentioned, where's the best website or links for them to head to?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is my name, NolanKashat.com, or you can go to my Instagram page and message me the word transform, and I can send you a free PDF if you want. So yeah,
Right?
those
Yeah, I
be
download one of those myself too. I think it's a really cool way for people to really check out the book and get engaged. So
mhm.
perfect. Were there any other links also that you'd like us to shout out?
I mean, yeah, my Instagram page right now, and my website, and my site has all of my socials on the bottom of the page, so you can check that out too. If you want to get like a actual physical copy of the book, you can go on Amazon and search "Still Here, No One Can Shy," and you'll find it there. It's up to you. But that's my socials on my website. DM me the word transform, and I can send you a free PDF, and it's just like it's just like a small little worksheet that I put together that I can send you out just to get just to get you something to get going on, to get you started. So yeah.
Understood. Well, awesome. Guys, we're going to put the links in the description box of this podcast today. So if you're interested and you want to get connected and stay in the know, then just go ahead and click on the links. And that's all you got to do. And that's the first step you can make to really, ensuring your own transformation, making sure that you are being as grateful as you can for every single day. I love that. So, Nolan, before we wrap up, though, I do have one last question. I'm sure out there's somebody listening right now who's facing their own version of, challenges, whether it's, health or business or relationships, but they're losing hope. They're wondering if they should keep fighting or just give up. So I'm wondering, what would you say to that person as like a last bit of advice for this podcast today? What would you say to somebody who's on the brink of fighting or giving up?
Keep going, keep going. Yeah, don't give in. I mean, you have so much to look for, and don't let the opposition win. Don't let the opposition win. Keep going. There are so many people out there that had it worse than you do. Just remember that. You don't know how many people out there have it worse than I do. So that's kind of keeps going as well. My faith in my faith in and also knowing that there are people out there that have it worse than me. That's what keeps me going.
That's all you can do. Yeah. Just keep
Yeah.
going, keep fighting and think about what else is out there. That's so important. And so thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. I think it's so important that, we think that health is the ultimate wealth, which is exactly what you advocate for.
Hmm.
It's incredible. So everybody listening, just take one lesson from Nolan's story and apply it this week. Just one lesson, maybe it's making that daily gratitude list, or maybe posting a thing you've been too scared to share, or focusing on
Hmm.
what you can control instead of what you can't. Those are all your amazing messages, Nolan, and it's a lot
Yeah.
very inspiring.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been great to meet you and have a chat.
Thank you so much, Danielle. I appreciate you having me on your podcast.
Of course. And to all of our listeners, thank you for listening to Authors on Mission. And if this episode resonated with you, well, take a note from Nolan's book and, hold on to your courage, vulnerability, and just remember that no matter what we face, we're still here. So keep writing, keep
Right.
reading, and keep leading. We'll see you next time on the Authors on Mission podcast, everyone. That's a wrap on another episode of the Authority on Demand podcast. If today's conversation sparked something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with a founder or a leader who's ready to stop being the best kept secret in their industry. If you want to turn your expertise into inbound demand, head to authorityondemand.com to see how we help clients go from unknown to in demand. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, and I'll catch you on the next one. Now, go build some authority.